Hey guys, how's it going? So today I've got two phones here. The phone onto my left is my iPhone 15 Pro running iOS 27. And the phone onto my right is my iPhone 17 Pro Max running the older iOS 26. On iOS 27, the Photos app has three new features. So if I go into the Photos app, just pick a random photo and then go into Tools over here, you now have Cleanup, Extend and Reframe. Cleanup, yes, you also have that on iOS 26, but the new Cleanup version does much more than the older version. Let's just get to it. So here's my first photo I picked just to test this out. Mind you, I haven't tried anything with this photo before, so I do not know how the results are going to come up. This is just me trying it out for the first time. So let's edit this picture. On iOS 27, you would click here and then go into Tools. On iOS 27, you just click the Edit button and then you go into Cleanup. So let's try iOS 26 first. Let's say I just want to get rid of this person who came in the way of my picture. That's not bad at all. Honestly, there's a bit of artifact at the bottom here, but that's much better than I thought. Let's try iOS 27 now. So I have to go into Cleanup here. The one thing I notice is that iOS 27, it's taking a bit longer. But I'm guessing the results are going to be much better. There you go, the results speak for themselves. The result is much better on iOS 27. There's no artifact, everything just makes sense. If I zoom in, it's really good. There's no weirdness that you see over here, whereas this one looks really clean. So if you want to see full-sized images of, all this, I'm just going to upload it to my website. You're going to find it in the description below. The one thing I want to say before I move on is that on iOS 27, you get two models here to, do a cleanup. You have fast, which is quick, and then best quality, which is for detailed work. So fast, I think, happens on your phone, whereas high quality, it goes to the cloud, but it's going to give you the best results. I just set it as auto, and then, auto worked for me. Okay, here's my second photo. So in here, you can see there's a lot of what you call cables and stuff like that, right? Over here. So I'm trying to see if I can get rid of any of those. Again, let me go into Cleanup. Here's something I've just realized. So this is a picture I took on RAW, the RAW mode that you get on, all Pro iPhones. If I cancel this, you would see that, it says RAW here, not live. Whereas the initial picture I edited, which was this one is a live picture. So it turns out, if you take a picture on RAW, you can't do a cleanup at all on the new iOS version. So there's no cleanup feature here, whereas on the older iOS 26, you still get cleanup. Let me just clean up something for you. It even suggested me bits. So if I can, if I want to get rid of these two, there you go. That just worked. So what does this mean? I feel like this is something they've missed on the first beta, and I feel like it would be a regression. This was something that was available, but not available anymore. So I just hope that they bring this back, because I personally take a lot of RAW pictures and I would like to see cleanup here as well. Okay, because this photo didn't work, let me try something else. So here's my third photo. You can see it is a live photo, which means it should be editable, or, you could use the cleanup features. This was something I took in Egypt on an iPhone 14 Pro Max, I think. Yeah, a few years ago. And then here I was on top of Cairo Tower and I was taking a picture of this building, trying to frame it through the guardrails at the top of the tower, right? So let's see if I can, remove the guardrail bits. Again, going to Cleanup. By the way, I think as a photographer, this photo works if there is a guardrail, if you see these lines, it kind of adds to the photo. I would never do this if I'm actually trying to, edit this as a photograph and put it on my Instagram. But just for the sake of this video, let's see how the cleanup stuff works. So if I go to Cleanup on iOS 27, and then let's say on iOS 26, I just, paint over these lines, or you can't do multiple paints. Yeah, it just made a mess. So let's see if iOS 27 can figure it out. The thing about iOS 27 is that once you've cleaned off, it lets you add more additional stuff to be cleaned off. So, I could, swipe in here and then here. This is nice. So there you go. I could do stuff like this one by one, whereas on iOS 26, you could only do one and then you'd have to wait. Select this as well. Okay, now if I do cleanup, it did an okay job. The guardrails are still there, but it has made it less thicker, less prominent, I should say. That's not too bad. But as I said, as a photographer, it doesn't matter. This was just an experiment to see if, you can get rid of stuff. I think the photo works well with the guardrail. Okay, let's try editing this picture now. Again, the same cleanup feature. So if I go into Tools and then Cleanup, and on iOS 26, if I just go Cleanup, the one thing I notice is that both images, or rather both operating systems, figured out what part of the photo I might want to clean up. If you look on iOS 26, is suggesting this part over here. And then iOS 27, the newer version, also is suggesting what it thinks I might want to clean up. The only thing I would say is on iOS 27, it's a bit less prominent as to, the photo app suggesting what you might clean up. Whereas, on iOS 26 over here, it's much more in your face as to, this is what you might want to clean up. Okay, let's do this. So I'm just going to do cleanup on the parts it's suggested. Basically, that's what I wanted to do anyway. There you go. So, okay, that's the part that got cleaned up. Both of them haven't done a good job, I would say. Like, if you were to just look at this photo like this, you wouldn't think much. But the moment you zoom in, like you could see, where it has made a mistake. And like it removed the top part of this lady's body here, but then left the legs out. The same with iOS 26 as well. If you're not going to be pixel peeping, I think this is okay. But then, you could always zoom in and then further clean up the bits that it messed up. Let me do that on iOS 26 as well. There you go. The results look very similar. Actually, no, the results on iOS 27 over here looks better because this thing added some weird artifacts here, whereas this thing kind of cleaned it up properly. So I'm going to revert this picture to how it was. And then go into cleanup again. That's the bit it is suggesting to be cleaned up. I'm just going to, do that and then let it clean up. There you go. The results are very similar to the first time. Okay, now I'm going to revert this photo. And this time I'm going to do the same thing, go into tools and then clean up. But then this time I'm just going to set this to high quality. So I'm forcing it to be high quality. Normally how this works is the Photos app or rather iOS 27 will decide if it has to go to the cloud to clean it up on higher quality or just do a quick job on your phone itself. So I'm just going to keep it to high quality. And now if I do this and then clean up, okay, that's what happened, which I don't think is a good result. So if I zoom in and if I tap on it, you could see the before, right? That's how it used to be. And now it added a random lady's face or the body on the legs. It's before and that's after. Now I've reverted this photo. Now let's try the third thing, which I wanted to do is, so instead of leaving it on auto, I'm going to force it to use the fast model. That was like much faster because there's no reason for it to go to the cloud and stuff, right? So if I zoom in, it's the same as the result, that I got when I set it to auto. Okay, this is a fun photo. Let's just use cleanup on this. This is something I took on my holiday a couple of months ago. I just wanted to, take a picture of all the cables and the mess I made. So if I go into tools and then clean up, let's see if it's going to suggest what I want to clean up. It doesn't. So I'm just going to, do this. I'm just going to hope that it figures out. I don't expect this to work, but let's see. Oh, try again with a smaller area. Fair enough. Okay. I think that's enough. Let's try. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yes, this is... Okay, the Photos app just crashed. Let me go back to that photo. And it didn't save it. So this is a beta thing, I should say. It just crashed. But I'm going to try this once more. That wasn't too bad, but as you can see, there are like random cables here, which are just cut in between. It don't make sense. I expected iOS 27 to struggle with this photo, and it clearly did struggle because it doesn't know what it was looking for. But that was a fun experiment, I should say. Okay, now that we are done with cleanup, let's try the other two new features which are exclusive to iOS 27. Here's a picture I took in London a couple of years ago. Again, let me go into edit. And if I want to try reframing this photo, it takes a while to prepare, and then when it's done, it lets you do it. As you can see on the edges of this photo, there's a bit of blur, and that's what's gonna, help you reframe the photo. So if I do this, let's see, you would say that's quite a, change from the original framing, right? So if I reframe it now, so as you can see, the photo did get reframed, but there's a lot of junk in here, which I did not want the photo to add, but it has done that. But that's AI, what do you expect? I'll put a before and after on the screen, but you can see how good of a job it did, but then at the same time, it messed up a lot of things. This is something I don't think I'd ever use. Okay, let's try this photo. Let's see what it does. Go into tools, and then if I go into reframe, again, this is a photo I'm really happy with. I would not want to reframe it, but this is just as an experiment to see how it handles this. So if I was to gonna do that, whoa, look at that. Let's see what happens now. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I'm kinda impressed. It created stuff which weren't on the real scene, but the reframing actually really worked well there. This is a photo I took on an iPhone 16 Pro Max, so let's see how reframe works here. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Again, I'll put the before and after on the screen. You can be a judge for yourself. Okay, now that we've tried reframe, let's try the extend feature. So here's a picture of a cat. Again, let me go into edit and then tools and then extend now. It kind of is suggesting to me what it thinks I should be extending. So it's basically zooming out of the photo, and I could even zoom even further. And if I do extend, let's see how the cat looks after you zoomed out. Okay, that's not too bad at all. Again, this is not something I would want to use on my photos because I know the moment I do this, it is not my photo anymore. That's how AI works and I do not like it. But if you're not bothered by that, I think this is a nice feature and I think it works properly. Last year when I took this photo, and I think I used a photographic style when I actually took this picture. I want to see if I can change the style now that I've actually edited it. Oh, actually I can't. I'll have to, revert the photo, or rather revert the edit, then change the style and then edit it again. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, let's try one more photo. Tools and then extend. I'm guessing it's just going to add some new steps rather, and this photo is going to look good. Okay, yeah, that wasn't too bad. It added a step here at the bottom and then extended the sky and stuff. That's not too bad at all. I actually like it. And it added a bit of, light rays at the top as well. That didn't exist on the original photo. I actually like it. And also, of course, the building on the left as well. That's not too bad. And it got the door handle right, which is brilliant. And it got the light at the bottom as well. That's really impressive. Again, this is not my photo anymore because it has added a lot of stuff which weren't there. So I personally will not be using any of this unless I'm going to use it as a wallpaper where I have to, extend it to fit the screen. That's just my take on it. And finally, let me edit this photo. Okay, now that the photo has been extended, so you could see it added a lot of stuff. So it has added a charger, headphones that I don't own, and then the text on the iPad, it looks like, I don't know, some other language. And then if you look at the keyboard here, the numbers at the top, it's 2, 3, 4, and then everybody knows 5 comes after 4, but here it's a B for some reason. At the bottom here, you could see ASD, and then, definitely it's not a J. And then on the top row, you see WE, and then it's definitely not a T that comes after E on the keyboard. This is what I don't like about extend. Like, it adds a lot of stuff and it doesn't know what it's adding, but that's AI for you. And this, I don't think it's going to get fixed by the time iOS 27 launches because that's how AI works. And that's what I kind of don't like about it. And that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know if you have any comments. If that was worth your time, please consider subscribing because it helps the channel out. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much again.